first thing is the housing market, like mentioned earlier, is something that we have to tackle in components. So we might as well start off with the residential sector. And the residential sector right now in many different areas is being set in a momentum in very different directions. And what I mean by that is I'll give you a full example, for like perfect example actually. New York is a tale of two cities. It really is. And you have a scenario where a lot of people are continuing to leave New York City, not only New York, but New York City, although there are plenty of people leaving New York altogether. But that's a topic for another day, and a situation that is constantly getting worse and worse right now. And that has to do a lot with our local situation, the way the laws are, the taxes are. But we're going to tackle that another day. We're not going to get too into that. We're just going to talk about what the state of the market is and how this is going to be reflected going to 2021. So you have a situation where people are leaving New York City and they're going anywhere outside of the city. It's the escape from New York mentality. I've said this in past videos, and what you're seeing is a scenario where people are leaving. They're going to the suburbs. They're going to the outskirts of the city. They're going upstate, downstate, anywhere they can. Long Island, Westchester, Rochester. And big reason for that is, one, this pandemic, this coronavirus that we're going through right now has made people skeptical and wary of wanting to be in congested areas, in very tightly packed areas with millions of people, and not being able to have their space, not being able to go outside and feel comfortable that they're not going to have 100 people trample them that might be having coronavirus. This is a real mindset right now. I'm saying it a little bluntly, and excuse me if I'm saying it a little bit crude, but it's basically what's happening. And what you're seeing is that mindset is in place. And it was a very similar mindset that what we had during 9/11 when we got hit by those planes. And people, again, at that time had the mindset of escaping New York and getting out of the congested areas and getting away from the target areas and that kind of thing. But the big difference between then and now is people got together. They became more tightly knit. People started to back each other up. There was more of a community feel during that time. Now there's a lot of animosity going on. There's a lot of anger. People aren't happy about being locked down. People are not happy about being in a congested area and not being able to actually use all the resources that the city once offered. During 9/11, you had some of the big public venues closed down for an extended period, but nothing nearly as close as what happened now. Uh, they can't use the restaurants. They can't use the bar scenes, the lounges, the movie theaters, the gyms, the cafes, the theaters, the museums, the parks, etc., etc. You're living in a city that has all these resources, and that's the reason you moved to the city, and you can't take advantage of them. And people are really looking at that deeply and saying to themselves, we don't want to be here. So you're having that mentality in place, and you have people for months upon months upon months that have been evacuating. And what has happened was the inventory that was in place already in the suburbs and the outskirts of the city have already been low in the first place. And what happened is the buyers are coming out in droves, and the amount of inventory, the amount of homes that are available can't keep up, and the ones that are going on the market are not keeping up at the same pace. I've said this in the past, and I really believe it. In order for us to come to a healthy market where there's a balance between supply and demand, we really have to have about 2.5 homes come onto the market for every one that comes off the market in order to bring ourselves to a healthy balance again. And it's not happening at this point. Well, we're also in winter right now, so you have a little bit of the winter effect happening, but we're definitely not getting the kind of inventory that we once were as far as people putting their homes on the market. And big reason for that is the fact that a lot of people, they have a hard time putting their house on the market when they don't know where they're going to be moving to. So you have a lot of that happening as well. Yeah, you have people saying, well, if I sell, where am I going to move to? There's nothing out there that fits my needs. Or if there is something out there, they're going to pay astronomical numbers. Yes, they're going to sell for high numbers, but they're going to be buying for high numbers. And in many cases, especially if they're moving up, those high numbers of the move up number are going to be way too high for them to be able to get into. So it's a very tough situation. And I don't see this changing in the near term. So everybody that's talking about housing in 2021, they have to look at the big picture, especially with the residential market the way it's going. There's a lot of different factors in place. I just mentioned this escape from New York mentality, and then escaping from New York mentality doesn't only hold for New York. It's happening in other major states, major metros, where people are doing the same kind of thing. It's happening in California. You hear it all the time. And that's the one thing that you actually hear in the media that's actually pretty on target for what's happening. People are leaving from these places. They're either leaving the states completely, or they're going to suburbia or more rural areas. Every state has its own reasons, but the biggest reason and the biggest catalyst for a lot of this that happened has been a lot of these restrictive mandates that have been put in place in the major metro areas and the major cities. Unfortunately, like I said, it's not one of those things that I'm happy about talking about, because I'm a New Yorker through and through. I grew up here. I was born here. I hate seeing people leave the city because I love New York, and I don't want people to leave. I want people to come. I want it to continue to be a thriving city, a place that people are eager to want to live in. And if they, the whole thing about if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. Well, it was true up until this year. Now we're going to see how everything goes forward. But what I'm seeing right now, and this is for general, it's not only for New York, but it's in general for the entire country, we're probably going to see a lot more of this depletion of inventory going forward for the next few months. And we're going to definitely, in my personal opinion, have a deficit of supply and demand over the next 6 months, conservatively. It may go up until the end of the year. And it's going to take a while for everything to level out. And until that happens, prices are going to continue going up. It's just, economics 101. Anybody that's ever taken economics 101 knows supply and demand. The less the inventory, the higher the demand, the higher the price. Super simple. And it's tough. It's super tough for a lot of the buyers out there. My heart goes out to a lot of the people that really want to buy a place. They have the money, they have the means to be able to buy the place, and they keep getting squeezed out of places because they're having bidding wars and they're having a hard time getting offers accepted. It's a super hard thing that's happening right now. And it's not a fun market to be in if you're a buyer. It definitely is. As far as a seller, you're doing okay. You're getting your numbers. I mean, you have some people that are delusional right now, and they're basically thinking to themselves that they're gonna name their price and get it. It's not necessarily that. That's not the case. You know, the price, the value of a place, of a home, of a property, is only what the public says it's going to be. And if the public is willing to pay for it, the buyers are willing to pay for it, that's the new value. If they're not willing to pay for it, that means you're overpriced. And you're getting a lot of people testing the waters like that. You have a lot of inventory out there that it's grossly overpriced and they're not selling. And everybody's wondering, like, why are they not selling and everything else is selling? Well, it's because they're grossly overpriced. The stuff that sits and lingers on the market for extended periods of time in this kind of market has one of two things going wrong for it. One, it's either grossly overpriced, as I mentioned, or there's some kind of defect or issue with the place. And it could be a few things. So as far as the defect or issue, it could be structural defects, it could be something that you could physically see, or there's issues with deeds and that kind of stuff. So you're going to have some of that. And, don't let those homes deceive you, because they're basically, you're going to get those kind of places at all markets. But my bold prediction, this market's going to stay hot for at least the first half of the year. And it's probably going to start tapering off third quarter going into the fourth quarter. But we're not going to see the true effects of any kind of decline in values or in sales, or significant decline, until 2022, most likely. That's my prediction. I might be wrong. This is all recorded. It's live stream. It's going to stay on this YouTube world. You can look back at it and you can call me out on it. That's probably going to be the case, in my personal opinion. And like I said, put a comment down below. Let me know what you think. And if you feel that I'm completely off base, please let me know. You feel that you have a better prediction, your crystal ball is better than mine, let me know. Let's see. It's not a question of who's going to be right or wrong. It's a question of how it's going to be.